I am Leonie Forbes from Jamaica, and I want to share with you my drive, my passion, and because I was working at the extramural department with Sir Philip Sherlock, who was setting up, doing programs for the Caribbean and all that sort of thing. And I think it was his wife who said, Philip, she has a good voice, find something for her to do. And he took me down to the radio station to do a program, play a little boy, actually, and then to play a flight attendant talking about things. And from there, people like Carol Robinson, who was doing government programs and explaining about credit larceny and all the different things for the farmers to know. And he found the voice useful, and I began to enjoy it, and it built from there. So that by the time I was seasoned in the extramural department, there was a vacancy at the JBC because it was brand new at the time. I was involved at the very beginning, the programs with the first GM, Captain Strange from Canada. And he involved in some of his poetry programs and so on. So this vacancy came up and they called and said, do you want to come and audition? I said, I must be mad, audition for what? I said, no, come. The least you can do is try. So I went. And I was terrified. But I did my best. And so I went, I thought, forget about it. Nothing going to happen. You know, you're not an announcer, you can't talk, sure. And the Thursday, I went Monday night. Thursday, the telephone rang and the general manager and secretary said, Jim would like to see you. Could you come tomorrow at 10? So I went on Friday at 10. And he said, you can have the job if you can start on Monday. I thought, I said, weekend. Anyhow, take cab. I didn't even take the bus back to work. Took a cab and went straight from the bus. I said, Mr. Boston, they've offered me a job as a note at the JBC, but I have to start on Monday. He says, very good. Come, let's write the letter. He wrote my letter of resignation and took it to the registry. And apparently he said to them, I told you should have paid her more. Now she's gone. So it's a whole lot of wonderful things happening. And I went, I took the job. And I loved it and created programs about other Caribbean islands. The things we had in common, the things we had, we named them differently. And all I had a wonderful time. And you had great people like Ernie Randall, jazz guitarist, fantastic man. Hey, Ernie, to do the theme for my little program, the Jamaica Woman program, and the little connecting things that for other little pockets of information each. So it was, I thought I didn't think I could do anything else. Well, a lot of the film work that I've done is with Frances Ann Solomon.
Oh, wow.
Leader Serena thing, where I started doing things with her in London.
Okay.
Then I joined her in Trinidad to do what my mother told me. And then a couple of years or so later, I joined her again in Toronto. And we did the Lord of Mercy series and a Winter Tale and a couple other things that we were working on and sort of holding them. In terms of other folks in Jamaica, there's Lennon Little White. Some of it's been a couple of things, episodes from series from in Hollywood that they've come to Jamaica to film. In one instance a series, and the same thing for Britain. I studied there, and before I went back to Jamaica, because I never planned to stay, I just wanted to teeth whatever they could offer me and help me out, and I went back home. But I worked a lot on television there and did a couple of films. One of them was the first time I played a nurse, and it seemed to follow me in England for what I think called 80,000 Suspects, and went out to can't remember the name of the studios now, I've forgotten all of that, but it sort of started there, and then odd times people come to do things and I'd be invited to join them. There are nice things for the BBC with Caribbean writers and actors as well. They come out to Jamaica to film, and I get a nice little role and have fun and that sort of thing. And then there's the stage work, basically, because that was my first love in a sense. That was what I knew about first, and then TV crept in. And Miss Lou had a lot of influence on my deciding or my allowing myself to be channeled in that area. I had the good fortune to see Miss Lou when I was about 9 performing, and trust me, at that time she wasn't very much bigger than I am now. But I thought, in my Jamaican language, and she's making us laugh and she's making it into, I thought she was out of this world, because I had shortly before that been told off by a teacher because I wanted to enter the Jamaican dialect speech competition. And he was absolutely scandalized. How could you? I mean, we speak English here, yeah, you know, and go away. He didn't want to know. And then seeing this lady, hearing her do it, and it's her own work, Lord, I was glorified. Never wanted to be Miss Lou, because I never thought I would have that sort of stuff, because she writes her own stuff, or she wrote her own stuff. But from then, the interest was there, and then I'd get into little school productions and things like that. And after I started working at the university, I met the records, Barry and Lloyd. Barry wrote plays mainly, Lloyd was directing and acting as well. And I think from there it just steadily grew with people like Errol Hill. I learned a lot about the discipline and the drive and the passions of theatre from somebody like Errol Hill, because Man Better Man is his production, one of them that I remember very well. But he was working with the extramural department where I worked. And so I met with people like those, and a lot of it rubbed off on me. So it's been a fantastic process. And I've had a chance to work in other countries, like as far afield as Australia. Yes. I think the roughest patch I have acting-wise was for some months that I spent in India, in New Delhi. Not that anything was wrong with the people, but I felt like a visitor because I couldn't handle the language, but the actors that I worked with, because there were some Germans there as well, and a couple of the Jamaican actors, myself, a German group, and the Indian counterparts and so on. It was fascinating because I began to understand a bit more of their culture and to realize that in the same way we need to be exposed to them, they need to be exposed to us. So it worked. It is a long mix-up story, as we say. But I enjoyed it for the most part. You have little prices that you pay at different times, but it's not enough to deter you, so to speak. I want to tell a little part of it. Don't tell nobody in Jamaica, let me tell you. When my friend, my co-worker, Barry Johnson, rest his soul, we sat across from each other, and we had known each other in England, we had done stage work and everything like that, so he felt comfortable, I felt comfortable with him. He said, Leonie, we're not ashamed. I said, for what? I don't do nothing. He said, we don't have a Jamaican children's program on. I said, and I know you noticed that, because I was trying to be enough, you know. He said, no, but we have to. Sesame Street is fine and all that sort of thing, but an electric world, an electric this and that. He said, but Jamaica, you talk to Miss Lou? I said, no, but since you have the car, I can sit in it and we can go to Miss Lou. And we went up to Miss Lou, told her our idea that we'd love to have the children's program on a Saturday morning when everybody's free and the children could come, and Miss Lou went wild. She was so gracious, she was so open, she was so generous. She said, yes ma'am, and you must call it Ring Ding. And she told us the story of Ring Ding. So we left up there on a high cloud. Now to go back to the office to get permission, because you asked to book the studio, you asked to book the time, you asked to get the tape, and you have to make friends with all the people who are going to work on it. So we started that, and then we had to go to the GM. Please, I'm not going to say the GM name because he's resting in the arms of the Lord, and I don't want no angel joking. But when we said, sir, please just let it be half an hour to start with, or an hour, and Miss Lou and the children with the Nancy stories and so on and so on. Do you really think she can sustain half an hour on TV? The half an hour became 12 years before I left. She mashed it. The other obstacle was to get it on air, having recorded it. The manager of the television station, our boss, immediate boss, well, I don't know, how could you? And no, Sesame Street is at that time. Barry and I looked at each other because he had to edit the commercials to put on in that afternoon spot, like at about 5 o'clock. And he looked at me and I looked at him, and he got up and left. And that afternoon Ring Ding was on because I lost all of the parties. and none of us could say a word. But once it was shown, the switchboard jammed, people drove to the station. We're going to get it every day. Oh God, thank God. What a fabulous thing. Miss Lou. So the GM couldn't do anything but say, good effort. And that was how Ringling started. And Miss Lou introduced so many things. They had all your Nancy's stories. They heard about the Maroons. They heard about everything else. Mass Ran would come and tell them some of their Nancy's stories. A policeman would come and talk about his work. A nurse, Mass Eric, would do chalk talk. So the children were exposed. And eventually we had busloads of them coming in every Saturday. But JBC couldn't afford to feed them. So we made a couple of the cookie houses. And they were very generous. Every Saturday morning the vans would come, things to drink and cookies and things to eat. That's how that started and how it took off. And it's one of the things I'm proudest of in my life.
And you should be.
Because Miss Lou to me is everything. One, I don't know my father. I've never seen the man, and they just barely told me his name when I was about 12 or 13. My mother couldn't bring me up, so her sister did. So that was my adopted mother. So I didn't have a lot of the connections that a lot of people have. She got married and had other children. Some of them I met when I was 50 years old. So I don't really know them, you understand? So a lot of things I had to go within myself. I had to depend on the mothers of friends. And because she was a very strict lady, you didn't run about and visit no yard and go and play and lavish and that. You come home. So the 2 or 3 people out of church who were allowed to come and I could go to their house, those are the people you talk to, and you couldn't ask any and everything. You couldn't ask why me don't have this and why me don't do that, or why me stay so or why you stay. You couldn't ask those questions. You had to work them out for yourself. So from an early stage I turned inwards. I would look, I would listen, watch, listen, and whatever I could get from it, then I would make it my own. And then when I started to formulate the idea that if I can make people laugh or make them feel better, that might help. That was a good thing too, because I was able to deal with myself. I didn't have to go to a big party or to an all-night session. I didn't need to drink no rum. I didn't need to, although eventually I did smoke. But that didn't have anything to do with all of that. But you had to work out these things within yourself. Because if you told a big person and they tell back your mother, she go and bust your tail with me. How dare you? How could you? So I found joy in sports at school. And in doing things at school, like being part of the track team, hurdler and long jumper. Yes, that's all. But you learn, and I was able to spend time and watch all these people and develop something for myself. I never thought that you're black, so you're not gonna come to nothing. Never occurred to me. I went at 14 for a job at the sweepstake, Knutsford sweepstake. And the girl that was behind me in the line lived at my mother's house. She and her parents rent rooms from my mother's house. But guess what? She had pretty hair and she's brown. When I got up to this, she says, no, we're finished. We're not hiring anybody else for today. So I said, thanks, and I moved. The girl came up and she went into work. So I said, oh, so it's on our place? Well, I have news for the whole lot of you. None of you going to decide what I make of my life. Keep on a sweepstake job. I will find something else to do. So I got very involved in church till Pastor catch me mimicking him and said it was very good and it was nice that I was involved. Teach Sunday school, I take them to Hope Garden so they could see it. A lot of them couldn't do it otherwise when I was working £4 a week. So you could share it and all the other Sunday schools. Yeah, a whole lot of things. But I found I could find things within myself and I got a certain amount of joy out of making people feel better, making people feel good. I never ever thought I'd be sitting here like this. It's not one of my dreams, it's not one of the things that I have to be there. It wasn't anything like that. But I noticed, as I get older, you notice the hair. I love it, I don't mind. But what it says to me, and it says to everybody else, if you try, you can succeed. Mm-hmm. And don't make anybody press you down and belittle you and wash their dirty mouth. Don't allow that. You take criticism because you have to, because that's how you're going to improve, but you don't take wash mouth and those things. You face all sorts of things, but it's just to hang on to yourself and know who you are and that you're going somewhere. You will reach somewhere if you try and try. Yes? God bless you.
Honorable Leonie